Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today for this webinar. We'll give folks a moment to get into the room, and we'll start here probably in about 30 seconds or so. But just wanted to let you know that your audio is working, and we appreciate you being here with us today for this this webinar.
Numbers climbing.
Okay, I suppose we could probably get started. Thank you again for joining us here for this conversation today. We have a special conversation for you in store today. We're going to go through and actually provide you a demonstration on how you can use an AI tool in order to help you with respect to responding to office actions, breaking down office actions, understanding how you can use these tools to assist you in that process, both at the USPTO and in Europe. And pleased to have a great panel with us here today. So, Renee, how about we turn it over to you and you can introduce our speakers and we can be off and running.
Sounds great. And I'm going to introduce them in the order of their videos from top to bottom. So first we have Sumair Riyaz, is a solution architect at IP Author, where he leads a dynamic team of 25 cross-functional members. As an inventor himself with patents in the medical devices sector, he combines his technical expertise with a deep understanding of the patent lifecycle. Holding a bachelor's degree in pharmacy and an MBA, Sumair excels in emerging scientific knowledge with strategic business acumen, contributing to the prompt engineering team of IP Author. Next, we have Elizabeth Shipsides. She's a patent attorney and the founder of the Bazille Group, where she provides comprehensive patent services. Admitted to the USPTO and the Minnesota State Bar, Elizabeth has extensive experience across multiple technology domains, including software, electromechanical devices, pharmaceuticals, and chemical engineering. She has a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Minnesota and a JD from the Catholic University of America. Next, we have Samir Raiyani. He is the dynamic CEO of IP Author, where he spearheads the development of innovative patent drafting tools for IP law firms and corporate patent groups. Prior to IP Author, Samir held various executive positions in tech-driven companies, contributing to his profound understanding of IP and software solutions. And last but not least, we have Gene Quinn, who is our moderator. He's a patent attorney and a leading commenter on patent law and innovation policy. He founded IP Watchdog in 1999 and since has twice been named one of the top 50 most influential people in IP. He is regarded as an expert on software patentability and U.S. patent procedure and has been repeatedly recognized as one of the top IP strategists in the world. So you're in great hands with this panel. Back to you, Gene.
Great. Thanks a lot, Renee. And thank you all, again, all for being here with us today for this conversation. I think it's going to open a lot of eyes. And before I turn it over to Samir in order to walk through, we have a couple slides we're going to go through first. Samir, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to say a few words before we really get going in earnest, and maybe you could explain what it is you hope to achieve here during this conversation and that sort of thing. And while you're doing that, I will also publish the one poll question that we have, which is essentially just to give us an idea of who we have in the audience so we know about where to target our comments and conversation. So, Samir, take it away, if you will.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you, Renee. It's been an absolute pleasure for us to work with IP Watchdog, the amazing IP Watchdog team. We have been working with you now for the last few months, and it's been amazing speaking to you, having this conversation with your audience, and having the opportunity to show where the technology platform we are building really is. This has been a fantastic journey, so thank you, first of all. As far as today's webinar goes, our focus is squarely on office actions. Now, for those who have attended the previous webinars in this series, you'll already know what IP Author is all about. But for those of you who haven't yet been to any of our previous webinars, I'll do a brief introduction. What IP Author is building is a generative AI platform for patents, everything patents related. And what we are today going to be focusing on is the actual nuts and bolts of what it can do, how it can make your practice better. Now, I'll go into a little bit more detail in the slides and a lot more detail in the demos, but that's the brief introduction today. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, great. And let me end the poll here and we can share the results quickly. And probably no big surprise here is most of the people here have not tried either a patent drafting tool or an office action tool. And some more people have tried at least the patent drafting. An awful lot of people here have not yet explored office action tools with respect to using AI tools in order to help with office actions. Now, I think for sure you all are going to have your eyes opened here as we go through this conversation. And before we turn it over to the folks who are going to do the demos for us here today, I just want to let Samir go through and walk us through a couple of the slides that we have here. Samir, I know we don't have too many slides, but I want to give you an opportunity to let folks know what we do have, sort of to prime the well for the conversation to come.
Absolutely. So generative AI, what is generative AI? Let's start with that. I know, it's all over the map. It's being written about every day. We are being bombarded with emails and other posts. And yet, sometimes the definitions are a little fuzzy in our minds, right? ChatGPT. I think everybody knows ChatGPT. It's that tool where you go and chat to an AI and it answers questions with a lot of confidence, and it even helps us write emails better and respond to different types of, like, create documents, etc., etc. So ChatGPT also has a whole slew of competitors, right? ChatGPT comes from a company called OpenAI, which is primarily funded by Microsoft, but then there are other companies, like there's a company called Anthropic that makes an AI called Claude, which is primarily funded by Amazon. Then Facebook has its own AI, Google has its own AI. So there are lots of, and then there are a whole bunch of other startups and companies building these types of AI technologies that are based on transformer type neural networks. All of these technologies are classed under this umbrella term called generative AI, or large language models, LLMs for short. So that is what this technology is all about. And what we are doing is taking it into the world of patents. That has been our focus for the last couple of years. We have a long history at Dolcera of building AI into and adapting it for the patent world. We have some of the smartest people doing that. But generative AI is really special, and over the last 2.5 years, we have been able to take it into the world of patents. And what we have been doing is applying it to the entire patent life cycle, from concept to commercialization. So an invention disclosure comes in, and we have an AI for that, which works with the inventor to clarify the invention disclosure. Then when it comes to patent searching, we have an AI for that, which helps you search better, faster, and almost at the level for simple type of inventions, or for some of the simpler inventions, it does better even than a human. But for most inventions, it will actually give you really good results. We then have patent drafting tools. We have the office action tool, which we are going to talk about today. And then we have tools for helping you build claim charts and classify patents, etc. All of these tools are being used at scale, at large corporations, at law firms, at startups. So all of these tools have now established themselves into the organization, and therefore we have been able to connect them together and bring some really great capabilities to you. We'll be talking about those capabilities with respect to office action, but as you can see here, we can support all sorts of other functions in the patent world as well. Next slide, please, Gene. So ChatGPT out of the box, many of you who are, tinkerers, you probably have already tried to use ChatGPT or its competitors for patent work. And what you will notice is that, there are some issues, right? Like hallucinations. That has been an issue with ChatGPT and its and these LLMs. They make up things like prior art. Again, there's a lot of work being done to address those problems by the tools providers, but that remains an issue. These tools are imprecise. So, when it comes to writing descriptions or patent claims, you have to do a lot of prompting, you have to do a lot of tuning to make sure that these tools will give you the right answers, right? Also, these tools differ in terms of capabilities. So, one thing will work best for one thing today, and another will work best for another today. And tomorrow, the whole picture may change. We and some of our competitors as well, are building really robust capabilities on top of these platforms to make sure that you get consistent results and you are able to do your job without having to tinker around with any of these technologies, right? In addition, these technologies don't do certain things well at all, but there are alternative technologies that need to be developed, alternative models, AI models that need to be developed to do certain tasks. And again, that's what we build as well. So our goal is to hide this complete complexity of these technologies and give you a really smooth, productive experience. Next slide, please. So where are we today? You'll be surprised by this. I always get a lot of questions and even flack about these numbers. But these are true. These are not coming from us. They are coming from practitioners who use our tools, right? So what do we mean today? What we are saying is a patent attorney can get the first draft of an office action response or first draft of a patent in under 15 minutes. Now, this is a first draft. It's not something that you're likely to send to the patent office, but it is something, it's a lot better than, working with an associate, or staring at a blank sheet of paper for 10 minutes and then putting a few words down and pasting some background information for the next 5 minutes. That's about as far as you can get in 15 minutes without a tool like ours. But with a tool like ours, you can get much further. But then the process of modification is also very, very streamlined, as you will see. So you can make rapid improvements, and within an hour, you can have a full response ready. Now, obviously, your mileage may vary, as they say on the internet, but we are very confident that the tools are actually able to save you a tremendous amount of time. Next slide, please. So where are we today? For those of you who are not following this trend as actively as we are, the market is growing. There is a nice embrace of these tools in the marketplace. There are lots of different tools and players. We are obviously considered one of the leaders in this space. We have over 20 years of experience working with patents and AI technology with respect to patents. So we have a bit of a head start. There are larger companies that are making acquisitions in this space, so they also are confirming the relevance of this technology. And we have hundreds of patent attorneys and law firms and corporate clients using our platform today. There is significant amount of venture capital flowing into this space also. So this is really happening, and you will see that it can be a massive boost for your practice as well. Next slide, please, Jean. So what do we have in our tool suite? We have a patent search capability. So, you can compare your invention with the prior art very, very quickly. You can draft patent applications with diagrams, with, full descriptions, with embodiments, etc. And then you can respond to office action, which I won't say much about because you'll see some really cool demos for office action response. But all of these things are connected and built together into the same platform. Therefore, you don't have to switch from one platform to another. You don't have to do different things in different platforms. It's all integrated and available to you beautifully. And you will see the benefits you can get because of this integration. Next slide, please, Jean. And that's it. Those are my main messages for you today. We will jump into the demos right after this. Please keep the questions coming on the Q&A side. We'll be happy to answer them. This is our discount code, 20% discount on IP author modules. It's available here at December with the discount code December 2024 at ipauthor.com. You're welcome to sign up for our trial, which is a 2-week trial, and thereafter you'll get a 20% discount. So thank you, Gene, and over to you again.
Okay, great. And what I'll say before I turn it over to Elizabeth here is that I encourage all of you to give this a try, to go ahead and give this a try. What Elizabeth is about to show you, I've seen the demo, they've walked me through the demo, is really nothing short of remarkable. So when Samir puts up there, you can do this first draft in 15 minutes. The demo that Liz is going to go through is going to take us about 10, 11 minutes. So you can really start to get a sense of what you can accomplish in a very quick period of time. And what I would encourage you to do is, as Elizabeth is going through and doing this demo, think to yourself, what would I do with a case that I really know very well, very intimately? How much, not only quicker can I be, but how much better can you be at preparing these office actions? And I think it'll get a lot of you, some of your creative juices going. Now, what I would encourage you to do is, as Elizabeth is going through this demo here, if any questions come up, please put them in the Q&A box, and we'll look to get as many of those questions answered today as we can. And but we're going to just let this demo go organically and address questions once we get to the end. So Liz, go ahead, please take it away.
IP Author Office Action Response Module is a tool designed to assist with office action responses, and it aims to improve efficiency in patent prosecution. And so I'm going to use this tool to draft a response to an office action. To do so, I click on Create Project, and I add XML files. We're doing a US office action, so we're going to click XML files of the claims and the rejection. I'm going to use the final rejection, and I click it here and it adds it here, and I click Submit. So where you get XML files is on the USPTO Patent Center. You enter the application number, and you get to the application and final rejection. Here's the XML file, and in the claims, here's the XML file, and you can just download it into a file on your computer. So it's taking a little bit of time to generate, and so it'll generate as part of the office action response module. Is it gives you a rejection document summary. It provides an overview of the rejections in an office action, and then it provides a visual. The review examiner's interpretation provides a visual. So here it says, this popped up, would you like to select any specific claim before moving to the next step? I'm going to select all of it, all of the claims, so that it'll be reviewed and analyzed and interpreted in the next screen, review examiner's interpretation screen. So in this review examiner's interpretation screen, it'll analyze each claim and tell you some arguments that could be used. And then there's a suggested argument screen, and it's generates arguments that addresses the examiner's rejection and the suggested amended claims. The purpose is that suggest amendments that respond to the rejections in the office action. And then the office action response draft, its purpose is to compile all the elements into a complete office action response. It looks like it's starting to generate some claims right now. Here we go. Okay. So as you can see, if I click on so it color codes it, makes it easy to know what's green, meaning it's fully disclosed, that the system seems to think that the limitation is fully disclosed in the cited prior art, or partially disclosed if it might be disclosed, or maybe the examiner says it's disclosed, but the system finds that it may or may not be disclosed, or maybe it's kind of on the line. And red is where it's not disclosed at all in the prior art. So if you click on these, click to expand for each limitation, it tells you where you can find it in the patent application. So that's helpful for finding support. And then it also tells you what exactly was cited against the limitation based from the cited art. And then over here, this is a useful screen, like category. It tells you why something was categorized, why it was categorized a certain way. So part one, it says, it kind of takes an overlook, and it says that, well, it says that it doesn't specify that the rubber plate is bent, and it says that maracas could be interpreted as a bent structure, but maybe it's not really obvious because the bent structure in maracas is used for a different purpose, and there's no clear motivation to modify Kin's rubber plate to be bent. So that's like an argument. So the system provides an argument. So here it says that for this part here with the spaced apart through holes, it says it doesn't specify that. Kin doesn't specify that, and maracas doesn't provide additional disclosure regarding that. And it says that the combination of Kin and maracas does not make the specific arrangement obvious, as neither reference suggests the specific configuration. So this is a pretty quick and dirty way to see what might be what are potential arguments and what are potential amendments. So the next screen is suggested arguments, and here it claim 1, it discusses that Kin doesn't disclose the rubber plate being bent, and the secondary reference, which the examiner interprets as bent, there might not be a motivation or rationale for the modification. The examiner's assertion that it would be a matter of choice to use a bent rubber lacks teaching suggestion or motivation. And the examiner said it's merely a matter of shape, but it's the system argues that it might contribute to the structural integrity and efficiency of heat dissipation, which is not addressed in the prior art. So the combination might not might not be have a reasonable expectation of success. So we can, on the next screen, so these are the arguments, and on the next screen, it provides, you can click suggest amendments to the claims. And I mean, in the while this generates, I go back here, you can also try to strengthen the arguments for the selected claim. You can prompt it. I can click on it and prompt it, and I can say, talk more about each reference, or I can even say, update the argument based on this particular portion of the patent specification, like really focus on this argument. So you can do that as well. Let's see the suggested amended claims. It says each having an elongated shape and arranged horizontally and parallel to each other. And it also, this is a pretty good, and it also gives you supporting context from the patent specification, support. So these all tell you, so in paragraph 20 of the instant specification, this is where it describes this feature. And also, like in the previous screen, it gives you arguments for each of the dependent claims, which is helpful. And so it only amended the independent claims. And so the suggested arguments automatically generates arguments for the claim rejections, and arguments are contextualized using the patent specification. And for the suggested amendments, they are in response to the rejections, and it aims to align with the examiner feedback while trying to maintain some claim scope. So in the office action response, it gathers all this information together, and it puts the claims, the list of claims. Claim 1 is amended, and Claim 6 is amended, and it also puts the argument in here. So it's definite IP author office action response module. It helps to provide like a start to drafting a response, and it could help provide efficiency and precision. And you can also amend these arguments. Some people like to prefer not to use as much legal precedent, and you can also amend it and put some legal precedent in here. That's it.
Let me turn my audio back on. All right. Thanks a lot, Liz. I appreciate you walking us through that demonstration. We did get a couple questions here while we were in there, and I know that we've been trying to answer both in the chat and in the Q&A questions that have come in. One of the questions, Samir, that we always get, and it's certainly reasonable to get it, relates to the confidentiality. And I know what the answer is, but I'll let you tell folks if you want to just address that head on, because that is obviously a very big concern that people have.
Yeah, absolutely. So from the very beginning, this has been a top issue for people to, in terms of adopting Gen AI or large language model technology for legal work, especially for patent work, because we are dealing with highly confidential pieces of information. And to that, we have a very, very strict set of policies that we have put into place and processes to address these concerns. So the way the application is architected, it's a web application. It's a cloud-based SaaS, software as a service kind of an application. Our application runs on, is hosted on Amazon AWS. It's like any other types of web applications that you use, like Salesforce.com or Google Docs or any of those. Now, the only difference is that we use the AI engines, and we use AI engines from providers like OpenAI that makes ChatGPT. But we have very strict guarantees from them. So we have what's called a zero data retention guarantee from all our partners whose AI engines we use, which means that when our request hits their server, they are not storing any of the information. They are not even looking at it. They are not using it for any kind of model improvements, nothing of that sort. Our request hits the server, the response comes back, that's it, right? There is no actual storage or anything on their side. Now, on our servers, we do store the information. We do store your information on our servers, but it is very securely stored. We have been audited. We are ISO 27001 compliant. We have SOC 2 Type 2 certification. And we make sure that nobody actually looks at any of your information. We do not use any of your information for model training. We do not use it for any any purposes whatsoever, right? And if you want, we can delete your information on demand. Now, obviously, we have to store this information to be able to, for you to be able to come back and make modifications or use it for a subsequent office action, etc. But otherwise, the information is absolutely secure and private. We've been working with, as I mentioned, hundreds of large corporations and law firms in 15 plus countries. So at this point, we've been asked these questions. Our systems have been audited. Our processes have been reviewed dozens and dozens of times, literally. And so we are fairly confident that we have great processes in place for that. Thank you, Gene.
Great. Yeah, there's a couple things that I just want to also point out here quickly that, got answered as well. A question from Jerry was about whether IP author accesses non-patent literature, and the answer is yes, it does. We also had a question about, Samir, what you had mentioned about one of the concerns about hallucinations, and you happy to have you address that if you want, but I mean, from my point of view, Samir's not saying that his tool hallucinates. It is a problem known to exist with the off-the-shelf, off the internet, maybe a better way to say it, not off the shelf, but out of the box internet ChatGPT, because of the way it's coded, is to provide an answer. It is not coded to tell you, hey, sorry, I don't know. So sometimes that leads to hallucinations when it really is just trained and coded to predict what's the next word. And it may go down a path where everything it tells you is complete nonsense and completely wrong because it's not coded to try and give you the right answer. And that's why some of the really super exciting stuff is happening in these niche applications, like in our field, where you get a team of extremely talented AI engineers and scientists that can really work to give you what it is that you want, which is high quality, reliability, and a good answer. Did I hit all the buttons? Is there any other button to hit there, Samir?
No, you answered everything absolutely correctly. That is the state of the art, and that is what we are working with. And as Gene said, it's really exciting building on top of these platforms, overcoming their limitations, but more importantly, utilizing all the hidden capabilities that these platforms have, combining them with some of the more proprietary models that we are able to build as well. So, the combination is where we are building all these killer applications.
Yeah. We had a number of people, and I'll throw out Samir if you want to handle this, or maybe Samir, about whether or not it addresses 101 and 102 rejections as well.
So I'll take a first stab at it. On the 101 and 112 side, we are working on those aspects. They are coming alive. They're coming live soon. I think like we are close to bringing them into our production systems. But today, the primary focus of the tool is on 102 and 103. Correct me if I'm wrong, Liz or Sumair.
Anyone know? Okay, I guess so. This is, this is why I think everybody needs to be trying this tool out. It's growing. If we come and we did this presentation next week or the week after, there'll be all kinds of new features. There's new features in the tool since the first webinar we did with you guys. You're constantly working to make it better, stronger, more reliable. And I just think, having done patent prosecution, you look at what Liz demonstrated, and you'll get a much better sense of it if you actually kick the tires with it, do a test drive with it, with a case that intimately, where the prior art, what the examiner has done. And I mean, because I think you can look and get a sense based on this. It lays it all out for you, where there's support in the claims. Here's some suggested claim amendments. The one thing I keenly was looking at was it going to suggest over amendments, and it did not. It suggested just very simple, straightforward amendments. It didn't suggest amending any of the dependent claims. All the types of good practice that you want to have seem to be built into the system. And not to say that you wouldn't tweak it a little bit here and there as the practitioner, but it seems to me to get you quite a long way down the road. All right, so let's pivot here if we can. And Sumair, I will turn it over to you. And what we're going to do now here is we're going to show you a demonstration about how this can be used with respect to EPO practice, correct?
Sure. Thank you. All right, let's take a look at how IP Author helps users respond to the office actions or search opinion responses at the EPO. Now, what I'm going to do is I will create a new project for an office action response. Let me call this IP demo, and I continue. Tool asks me to add some data. In this case, for EP, we're using PDFs for search report, search opinion, and the latest claims. I add them as PDFs. You can easily get this information from the EP register. So I have these 3 files right here. I upload them, and let's see. So I uploaded the claims, the search report, and the search opinion in PDF form. And I asked the system to summarize the office action document for me. Right? So what the system is going to do is it'll read the search report and the search opinion and give a summary of what is discussed in this report by the examiner. So you can already see that the system took this information and it went to the next step and created what is called as the summary section. Here, the first table it created is a search report table. This table summarizes all the kinds of the attacks that are discussed in the search opinion. For example, there's an X attack defined somewhere, a Y attack, and so on. And it also details with respect to the citation that was given by the examiner for such an attack. Tells you what part of the citation is relevant to us. For example, in this case, paragraph 24, 20, and 48. There are some claims and figures also that would need to be maybe read. And also, what part of our claims or which specific claims are relevant or have been, in this case, attacked under such a X citation, right? Similar to that, it is also cited a Y document and A documents, right? And it gives you what sections of this particular document or these documents are relevant for us and which claims matter. For each kind of this attack, then it will take into consideration, for example, in this case, for the novelty attack, it says this is the responsible document. This is exactly what the examiner says. Here are the objections from the examiner. It says, if you look at the paragraph 24 and 48, there is a display which comprises of some information. You can read this, understand really how it is attacking the subject matter of our claims, which in this case are 1, 3, 4, 5, and such. Right? It also says the passages that we need to read if you wish to are these. Similar to that, it creates an inventive step attack table as well, the relevant documents under this attack, and the objections from the examiner for each of these documents as well. Right? After that, it also gives you the clarity information, which says number 1 and 3 there is some information required there with respect to the clarity. After this, what we do is we ask the system to start analyzing this information for us. So what does it really mean to analyze our claim as opposed to this prior art? So we are creating what's generally known as a feature analysis table. This feature analysis table compares the elements of our claim with the elements of the specific patent prior or non-patent prior art. Let's see how. As you can see right here in this table, it took our first claim, it broke it down into these individual features 1, 2, and 3, describe these features. Also, for reference, you have the exact claim as well, or the part of the claim, or this feature as well. And then it compared that with the prior art that was cited for this particular claim. Right? So it took these two documents, EP and JP documents, and then for each feature compared how our application maps with the features discussed in these two cited prior art. Right? And like that, it did for all the individual features, right? And then for all the individual claims that have been attacked. This kind of a feature analysis table helps you understand what part or what parts of my application or which features of my claims are mapping or reading on some other prior art out there, and which ones are not. For example, in this case, the feature from claim number 2 does not really map with the EP document. It in some way or means maps with the JP document. Right? So like that, you will get such an analysis for all the claims that have been attacked, and for you to understand how does my patent overall, weigh vis-a-vis these documents for the next steps, which then obviously is to respond to this, right? But in this case, actually, the tool helps you as well. So there are some options provided by the tool itself that range from option 1, which is to remain where we are and argue our position, or on the other extreme of this spectrum, to maybe do some amendments, right? So option 1 is to argue our current position. Option 3 is to make some amendments, maybe in line with what the examiner said. And then there's in the middle an option 2, which is make small amendments, maybe discuss clarity and so on and so forth, and then create our office action response. Right? But let's see what we have. So in this case, the option 1 is that we argue the features of claim number 1 and 3, particularly, for example, that the rendering of the latent images visible are novel and inventive by emphasizing the distinctions that are not disclosed in D1. We clarify the expressions to address clarity issues without altering claim scope. Right? Similar to that, here the option 3 obviously would be the other extreme, where we incorporate some of the features from independent claims or examiner suggested modifications into our dependent claim to overcome the novelty and inventive step attacks. So, right? It also gives you for each of these options the likelihood of success. And there's also a recommended option. Right? So the recommended option according to the tool is option number 3. Explains it why. It says, based on the analysis, option 3 is recommended because the substantive amendments should be made to the independent claim by incorporating features from such claims. The approach addresses the examiner's objections, particularly those related to novelty and inventive step attacks. All right, so let's say we do not take option 3. Let's go ahead with option 2, where we emphasize that there is some novelty already here. So we say option 2, generate the office action response. So now the tool, what is doing is that based on slight modifications without giving so much up, the system is looking at an alternate claim scope. So an amended claim list, one by one, all the claims that are there in our actual application are redrafted with slight amendments. And then towards the end, we'll get the response. We'll get the response with respect to how we explain these newly amended claims. So first we say that we have taken a new document. There are claims number 1 to 17, which replace the earlier claims. And what modifications have we done? Obviously, up here as well, we have shown you what modifications we are doing. But for the examiner, we're also saying that claim 1 has been amended to clarify the expression regarding the visibility of the latent light by specifying that the image is rendered visible by the alignment of the slits with the image features. And like that, we also then discuss the novelty attack and the inventive step attack discussions, right? And then obviously the attorney themselves, they can read this, and if they wish to do some modifications by exporting this version and then giving their own interpretation as well. But obviously, because the tool is so fast, you can also look at, let's say, go back to the analysis as I did and ask the system, hey, can you give me a glimpse of what the option 3 will look like, right? So you take option 3 and quickly understand what does the amendment in option 3 look like, right? How much does it limit the scope for me, right? And similar to that, you can instantly obtain the analysis of option 3 as well, and the response draft also for this option, right? And in principle, one can actually, in a matter of a few minutes, actually get all the 3 options, understand, how on the spectrum of arguing versus amending various options are, how do they look like, and how has the tool argued for them, and based on that, obviously create your own strategy as well, right? That's also because obviously this is all happening in in real time, in a matter of 15 to 20 seconds each option. One can export this, compare, and then go back and then look at and compare really these options, right? And obviously then select the one that is reflects the right scope of your patent application. So with that, I say thank you. We resume the discussion now, and of course, if you have any questions, happy to answer them. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Samir, any comments here about what we've shown here now in a couple demonstrations?
So just a couple comments here that I would like to make. Both these, as you can see, the approaches are somewhat different, right? Because we are running as fast as possible. That means we are trying different ways, and we are working very closely with patent attorneys in US, in Europe, in different jurisdictions, and really building on their expertise. Our whole vision for this product is that it should be really easy and really quick to get your results, right? We don't want you to be, worrying about little details here and there. We want you to be able to get productive as quickly as possible. So we took slightly different approaches. As you can see, the UI looks different, the framework, the layout looks different. For, in one case we have tables, in another case we have like these highlights. But as you can imagine, all patent practices at the end of the day are very similar, and our tools will also converge in terms of the best practices. But we are trying a couple of different approaches here just to make sure that we have the absolutely perfect approach for each problem, whether the problem is responding to the European search report, or on the USPTO side, a non-final rejection, for example. So you will see those differences, and we are building on top of these different experiments we are running. Those are some of the key points I wanted to highlight here. But would love for everybody to try it out, give your feedback, and as you will see, the improvements will be very rapid over the next few weeks. One of the questions that came up, 101, 112, that's something that we are working on. We'll be coming with an update to that in the next month or so. So you will have support for that. There's a lot of work being done in terms of providing more control for you. Right now, we are providing 3 top options, but what if you want to do something completely different? We're going to be able to provide you ways to do that, like being able to access the prior art even more readily during the course of your workflow. That's also coming. So the roadmap is chock-a-block with features. I don't know, I'm mixing up my metaphors, but there's lots coming, and we would love to have you use the tool as it gets better and it does more and more stuff for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm very impressed. And when I was looking, when we were just going through and Sumair was doing the example in the EPO, I was thinking to myself is, well, even if you don't pick option 3, which, heavily edited, for example, heavily amended, there's no reason why you couldn't take one of those real heavily amended claims and just add them as a new claim, and then you've got some real belief that there's something there that you can get allowed. And we all know that the trick, at least in the United States, I won't speak out for outside the United States, but this trick in the United States is to break through the examiner's resistance. And once the examiner agrees to allow you to have a claim, then getting additional claims down the road through continuation practice becomes much easier. So there's nothing wrong with amending lightly and then adding a claim that is pretty aggressively amended, because it won't really be amended. It'll be a new claim for
Right.
first instance, so I think that it provides an awful lot of opportunity. And in being somebody who writes a lot, I think one of the key things is to get ideas. And once you get ideas going and you get your creative juices going, we as patent attorneys don't think of ourselves as creative types. I can tell you for sure we are. You are creative, and once you get that going, and if it requires an AI tool to help jumpstart that, to get you in the thick of it, into the writing and the creativity and the drafting, and what if I did this, and how if I added that, or maybe I deleted that phrase or changed this word. Once you get into that zone, that's when the magic happens. That's why people pay us, is to get us into that zone. And I think this gives you an opportunity to get in that zone very quickly. Elizabeth, thoughts about, because you use this in practice, I know. So what tips, tricks, thoughts do you have to share with people today? What if maybe the question is, what has been your experience?
I'm using the office action tool. My experience is that I think the AI has an expansive technical knowledge greater than mine. Sometimes it spots things that I don't realize. Like I was working on an office action and I was like, why didn't the tool decide that this is an argument or a possible amendment? And then I realized it spotted something in the cited art that suggested that, oh, it is disclosed in there. Sometimes there's these little details that it's able to spot faster. So, I think it definitely helps make me feel more confident about what to submit to the patent office. I think sometimes it's great to use it to prepare before going into an examiner interview. So I can talk about these aspects, see what the examiner thinks. So I think that is also very helpful, just to run it into the system and bring it up to the examiner.
Yeah. You know what I also think is helpful? In my experience, looking back, I probably, in almost every case, almost every situation, when I picked up an office action that would obtain, the first time I would look at it, I would think to myself, oh, this examiner is just being a jerk. Clearly the specifications got support for this. My claims as drafted and filed were brilliant. They're genius. They just don't appreciate my genius, a bit of Wile E. Coyote kind of hubris, right? And then when you look at what you filed, it's not quite, a year later, 18 months later, 2 years or more later, not quite as clear that what you filed is what you remembered having filed. And so one of the things I think that always takes time is because the time from when you drafted and filed this application to when you're getting the office action, unless you went track one in the United States, it's going to be ancient memory, so much so that you're not going to have any useful memory. You're going to have to be brought up to speed. And this is one way very quickly you can be brought up to speed, not only with respect to what's in the prior art, but what did you put in your application and where, and how did you characterize it? And did you claim it the way you characterized it? All these kinds of things, I think, are, and let's just face it, we as practitioners are looking for those kinds of shortcuts. We need those shortcuts. The clients want to pay us the same amount of money they were paying us in 1980 to do work that will satisfy the federal circuit in 2025. And that the only way you can do that is by leveraging tools and getting faster. And the nice thing about these tools is it doesn't require you to leverage somebody overseas who maybe speaks English as a second or third language to get you a draft of something that you can massage. It really lets you be the primary driver of this process and consume it and do things more quickly. And as we were sharing in the green room before we went out here, I think one of the key things too is not to say that you shouldn't hire patent agents and not to say you shouldn't have associates. Obviously, you're still going to need patent agents and associates, but there's always that critical point in time when you've got enough work that you need help, but you're not yet at the point where you can afford to or should, in a responsible business way, hire another attorney or hire a patent agent to help you. Well, here's a tool that it's never going to complain to HR. It doesn't need health benefits. It will work overtime and not complain, and it makes you more productive. I think for many people in the patent space, this is something that you have to be using today. And if you're not comfortable using it today, I would still encourage you to kick the tires and see what it can do. Because there will come a point in time here in the not too distant future that if you're not using some tools to make yourself more efficient, you are going to get passed by. And Samir mentioned about, I think it was you at the beginning, said, a lot of older attorneys are saying, I don't really need to know this. I'm going to be retiring. Maybe no, Liz, I think maybe it was you. I'm going to be retiring. I don't really need to know this. Well, you might want to think again. This revolution is moving much faster than certainly I thought it would. I didn't think we would have tools that would be this advanced, this quick. I mean, it's only, 18 months ago, 20 months ago that really ChatGPT dropped in the public consciousness. And here we are with something that really it's quite high quality, at least to the point where it gets you a really good first draft. And then it lets you massage and twist and turn and say, what if, and here's where the support is. And this is why the examiner pointed to this reference for this claim. And those are things you're not going to get from an associate or an agent for sure. And certainly not going to get if you outsource it overseas. So, I mean, I guess my pitch here, and I'm probably preaching to the choir, is why not give it a try? I mean, what do you have to lose? So
I think you
go ahead.
No, I was just saying that you made a two interesting points actually earlier, which was about getting a strategy and then looking at how it helps you penetrate this wall between you and examiner. And this is exactly what one of my other clients also said earlier, is that with these options, 3 options or 4 options that the tool gives me, it helps me understand various perspectives that are possible, but quickly. Right? And that helps me strategize, how do I use this whole information, in what form do I maybe create another option called option 5, take some things that were obviously very difficult for me to understand in such a short time on my own. The tool has enabled that, and go with that strategy to the patent office and to the examiner and get it sort of approved very quickly. So yeah, that's the power of what the AI can do quickly in order to be able to get you over the fence for getting grants.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so we're just about at the hour, and I want to share this with everybody just to remind everybody that today you can get 20% off, and here's the code. And I'd encourage you to give it a try. It's going to make you more efficient. For most of us, I think it's fair to say, if not almost all of us in the patent space, you're doing project billing, particularly where it comes to office action responses. So if this makes you much faster, even though there is a cost to using it, I think you're going to wind up in the green on this equation, based on your flat fee arrangements. So I don't see that there's any real reason not to at least try it with something that you are, intimately familiar with, so that way you can properly evaluate how you're going to be able to use it and what kind of time savings and quality enhancement it's going to be able to give you. So I'd encourage you all to just, rip off the Band-Aid, give it a try. Confidentiality is as good as it gets. This is not going to be used for training, etc. And you'll be good to go. Any last thoughts, Samir?
From my side, I really appreciate the demonstrations from Liz and Sumair. They brought these tools to life, like for you, and we hope that you got a flavor of really the state of the art, like how slow it is, how fast it is. We got lots of feedback. So I hope that you saw what is available today, and you can see the potential. What we have done with these webinars with IP Watchdog is that after every webinar, we have a gusher of signups, and we do very specialized sessions with. Over the next 2 weeks, we will be doing specialized sessions with all of you who sign up today. And then we'll be walking you through all the different aspects so that you can really get a really solid feel of what's possible with this tool, its strengths and weaknesses. And then you can make a decision after that, right? So hopefully you will join us on this journey over the next couple of weeks as well. Of course, big thank you to Renee, Jean, and the entire IP Watchdog team. You've been amazing partners. So we've really enjoyed doing these presentations because we get so many questions. This is such a great community that is giving us this opportunity to bring some of these new technologies to you. So we are very grateful, especially going into the holiday season. This is very exciting for us.
Yes, and thank you guys for being here, and thank you for supporting us as well, and thank you for bringing this to our audience. I think it is a great tool, and I know it's only gonna get better. I know you are constantly improving it and rolling out new stuff. And if anybody has any feedback, comments, questions, please reach out to the IP Author team. But that's all we have here for today. So we hope that we will see you all soon. And if we don't get a chance to bump into each other before the end of the year, we wish you and your families all happy holidays, and we will see you soon, hopefully. But bye for now, everybody.
Thank you.